you get hit in the head. Okay, talk about when Dusty Baker came into your life, please. This is very important.
So I had got released by the Royals, and literally just was in the dumps. I mean, because I thought that I was going to make it back up to the big leagues with them. Had a good comeback year. It was 2007, so 2008 spring training. I was playing at the top of my game, and literally, just they said we're going to go in a different direction, and that left me in Arizona. I had a house at the time in Chandler, and I was just sitting there. Teammates, they all off and went, and all of my stuff. I mean, all of my clothes and everything was gone on the bus. So it was a tough time financially. It was starting to get a little tough as well, and a fan from back home in Connecticut had sent a handwritten letter to Dusty Baker. And I mean, as ball players and managers, I mean, we're getting letters them more than I was, certainly, but a lot of stuff was coming in, and he read that letter, and it was just asking for an autograph, and then told my story that I just got released. So out of the blue, Dusty Baker called me, and basically just he left me a voicemail because it came up unavailable, so I didn't answer.
Of course, all those, I mean, all the cats, they don't want, But so he left you a voicemail.
He left me a voicemail that I said I'd save forever, and I saved for about 12 years until I finally got a new phone and a new phone number. But it was as inspiring as the message that I'd ever heard. Basically saying, God has a plan for you. You're a good man. You earned your opportunity. You deserved it. But keep going. Basically, is what he was saying is keep going. And I knew that I wanted to anyway. But having that validation from a guy of his stature, credibility, he's been there, he's played, he's managed at the highest level for a long time. So to have that happen, that was something that I was able to pull on right then and there, and it stuck with me forever.
Talk to Adam Greenberg here. Were you a Red Sox fan or a New York fan?
I grew up a New York fan.
Which one? Both teams? Or?
Yeah, I was a Yankee fan. I mean, Don Mattingly was my.
Dude, Don. I grew up in Stony Brook, so every time that he got up at a certain point, it seemed like he was going to go yard or hit an extra base hit.
Oh, yeah.
But you perfected the triple. I mean, is there an art to that? When you realize you can't necessarily hit the 400-foot homer, and you're not going to cheat by doing any steroids or anything. Is there an art to the triple?
For me, there is, and it starts once you make contact with the ball, and in your mind, you have to make the commitment right out of the batter's box that you're going for three, whether it's a ground ball in the hole or a ball over the first baseman's head or in the gap. It doesn't matter. For me, head down, and I'm going three. And I think that is really what it comes down to. It's a determination that, number one, you're 90 feet closer to score. A run is greater.
But speed is crucial as well. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, like, is there a way to, beat the shift? I mean, maybe it's not. It's just you. That's when you were peaking at that point. You were a triples speed threat.
Yeah, I mean, I will say yes. Obviously, you have to have speed to hit a triple.
I had no speed, man.
But at the same time, there are, and if you've watched the game long enough, you've seen outfielders kind of just lollygag after the ball that's hitting the gap. You see the guy hit first base and start slowing down, like right after they hit first base, like they got a double, they're good with it. So I think it's a mindset, and for me, yes, you tack on speed plus a mindset, and that was it. And yeah, I loved leading the league in triples. And
someone compared you to John Cangelosi, who I loved as well. But the concussion syndrome, the after effect. There's a lot of cats out there, wounded warriors, people suffering from PTSD. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to them about the mental part of it? How to work through the mental part, because you got over the hump. That's the physical part's the easy part.
Yeah, it is. It's more easy, certainly.
Yeah, I don't want to say but just riff on that.
And the only reason why I can say it's a little easier is once you're diagnosed, and PTSD or traumatic brain injury or post-concussive symptoms, positional vertigos with what I had, pretty severe case of it, but the time at which you're undiagnosed is the most challenging. I mean, truly, that's where you're sitting there like, well, what do I do? like, what's wrong with me? And you start questioning yourself. You start kind of second guessing everything that you've done, and that's where the emotional strain starts to come in, is that undiagnosed time frame. Once the diagnosis happens, you have something to work towards. And when I speak on my situation, it's always little tiny achievable goals, and that's really what gets you through. You're fighting yourself. I mean, at some point, you're really fighting against that mental hang up of there's something wrong with me, or what's, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm upset. And once you realize that you're not the enemy, it makes it a little easier, but you can't conquer it in one day. So just understanding little tiny goals is what ultimately allows you to get over that, and then pulling on the people that are around you that are positive, are optimistic, and are willing to kind of be there to be a support staff for you.
Why are you here? For Men's Night Out here at the Jewish Community Center. But I thought about it today. Is it inspiration? My show is based on overcoming adversity. Am I reading the tea leaves here? What are your messages? Why are you here?
That's it. I had a tragic, if you will, thing happen.
Explain why. Explain to the worldwide audience, because the Jake Feinberg show is worldwide. Explain why it was tragic.
It was tragic because I worked my entire life for the opportunity to play Major League Baseball that few people in the world have the opportunity to do. And I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. That was what I set my mind to. My heart and my life was dedicated to doing that. And I got called up, and I was, and still am, 5'8 3/4". I'm white, I'm Jewish, and I'm from Guilford, Connecticut.
Yeah, baby. I love it, baby.
So I overcame a lot, not just because of those things, just, there's just a lot of challenges just to get there. And it was Sunday Night Baseball, ESPN, nationally televised game, my first opportunity to get on the field and wear that Major League uniform and sign my contract. And the first at bat, first pitch that I saw, I pinch hit in the ninth inning of a game, and the first hit me in the back of the head with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Caught me clear under the helmet, and the helmet went flying. But
was it Wrigley or where?
No, we were down in Miami.
You were down in Miami, huh?
But I say tragic because that's kind of what people have said. To me, it was.
You never made it back. It's tragic because you kept going. Dude, you didn't. You weren't. It wasn't like Kirby Puckett, like where you had like an eye injury and then you were done. You could not get back on.
Correct.
You did.
Correct.
So I'm trying to get to the tragic. I want to get to that.
Tragic from a standpoint of it. My career didn't end up turning out the way that I envisioned.
Sure.
So, and I'm only using terms that other people have used. My story is far from tragic. Tragic is when you lose someone or something. But my story in itself, in overcoming the positional vertigo, the vision issues, the depression, the bankruptcy, the getting released by many teams, playing independent ball, having a shoulder surgery, an injury, and continuing to get up and continuing to persevere to accomplish my goal, which was to make it back and to become a Major League Baseball player again. So what was perceived as tragic ultimately has turned into the greatest gift that I could have ever been given, because my message now can impact so many other people's lives in a positive way, where people can hopefully look at my story and not feel sorry for me, poor me, or whatever. They can look at me and say, I can too. I can also, whatever they're going through, whatever their struggles are. So, and I've since launched a nutrition company. We've impacted over 70,000 lives on a day-to-day, like how they physically are able to get through the day,
right.
And impact their families. I do these speaking engagements, so I get the physical side with my nutrition company, I get the emotional side and the mental side with my speaking engagements and my story. And
let me ask you something. The Jewish Community Center here in Southern Arizona, how are you connected to this? For the audience, it's my first time to meet you.
Well, it really started after I made it to the big leagues the second time, and Jeffrey Loria, who's the owner of the Marlins.
Ozzie Guillen gave you the at-bat.
Ozzie Guillen gave me that bat.
But why did he not start you? And I don't understand what his logic was there. I mean, he's going to see this at some point. And all I'm saying is, I read somewhere that it was he did want to start you in the lineup, but then he's like, well, no, I'm worried about him running the bases. What did that mean? I mean, is that factual?
I don't really comment on things that I wasn't a part of.
Okay.
In terms of those conversations. What I know is I was treated like a Major League Baseball player that day. The team welcomed me in. I got hazed just like anyone else would. I had to sing in a Speedo and wearing goggles. But I was a part of their team. So whatever choices the manager made, the organization made, they respected me like a big leaguer. So, and my teammates, that, as I said, that was the most important thing.
And
so,
Loria then?
Loria, after the game, told me that his rabbi was going to be calling, and he wanted me to go and speak in front of his congregation in New York City. So that was where I had that opportunity to kind of connect on a whole nother level with the Jewish community. And the experience was just, it was so gratifying for me to have 85-year-old women come up to me and say, if I knew a Jewish baseball player was coming today, I wouldn't have come to synagogue. But boy, am I glad that we came. So to be able to connect with that demographic, and then the kids that were there, and everyone in between, it made me feel good. And then from there, I've been speaking to a lot of BBYO, the youth organizations.
What is that acronym for?
B'nai B'rith Youth Organization. And so that's, Jewish youth groups and leadership.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of different synagogues, a couple of Jewish Federation engagements. I got to speak at Busch Stadium on the field. So, I mean, really, I had a tremendous supporter in Danny Klein, who was, heavily involved in the Federation down here in Tucson. And he had kind of known my story and just reached out, and next thing you know, here I am. Well,
no, I mean, what is the message that you get from the kids? Is it like, hey, when you tell them the story, how do the kids respond?
At the end of the day, I've had people come up to me in a whole different light. I mean, whether it's, I'll give you one example. I had a kid come up to me. This is probably the most heartfelt in terms of like, oh my God, I cannot believe that my story impacted you in that way. Kid comes up to me after I was speaking at a BBYO group in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And he says, he waited for everyone else to leave. He came up and he said, I just want you to know, however many years ago it was, 10, 12 years ago, I was impaled with a rod, like a metal rod, through his brain, and through his eye and his brain. And he's like going into this detail. I'm like, oh my God, like, it's crazy.
How old was this cat?
He's going to college next year.
Right.
So 7 and
wow.
8 years old or whatever it was. And here he was watching my story on the Today Show. So it was 12, whatever it was. And at the end of watching my segment, he basically was just like, and he told me, he said, your story inspired me. I wanted to get a college basketball scholarship, and your message and what you went through convinced me I can do it. No matter what I'm going through now, and all the the ups and downs that he went through his rehab, he told me, he's like, I'm going to college next year, and I've got a scholarship to go play basketball. And hearing a connection like that was super obviously inspiring to me.
Yeah.
And then a girl comes up and says, I shattered my ankle while ice skating, and that was what I did, and I haven't skated in 5 years, but I want to go back to skate. And it's just things like that where kids start to kind of believe in themselves again. Kids start to feel like they can accomplish what they want. Understanding that it's not going to be easy, and really driving home on that message that if you want something, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be things that get in your way, but to continue to push through that. So the kids they've received it tremendously well, and I think at the end of the day, society is just so ridden with garbage.
Yeah. Well, and then people tend to eat that up too. But the one final question for you. authentically, I mean, you grew up in Connecticut. You grew up, you were bar mitzvahed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel spiritually closer to Judaism in the sense that you know what your path is? And for so many people, they never really ever discovered that. And even though it was through a different way, tell me about your spirituality and how, if it's grown at all.
Yeah, I mean, I can honestly say that Judaism, I mean, I don't like to single anything out, but it's who I am. It's part of my DNA, my makeup. So when I speak, especially to a Jewish audience, I always kind of pull on, I say, you can look at my story and you can say that, wow, it's amazing that you persevered and you got up after all those things. And then I can say, well, it's in all of us. I mean, as Jews, we have been persecuted and ridiculed and tried to be exonerated on every different level, and continues today with what's going on in the Middle East and stuff. So it's easy for me to say, if they can do it, well, and they gave us the opportunity that we have on this earth, just get knocked down by a pitch. I mean, that's nothing. So I've had a really amazing connection to the Jewish community. The reason that I was able to correct my vision was a Jewish ophthalmologist in Chicago who sought me out.
What was the name? Get the name on that guy?
Dr. Barry Seiler.
Hey, big shout out.
And he owns a company called Visual Edge Performance Trainer. It saved not just my on the field, but my mental clarity, my ability to focus, my ability to short-term, long-term memory. I mean, and he reached out to me because of, he does a lot with baseball, but the member of the tribe thing has a lot to do with it as well.
Oh.
He came to my wedding. I've just recently stayed at his house in Chicago. I mean, but it's a genuine relationship and friendship. And another one was on the reason that I have my nutrition company. Dr. Michael Leibowitz collects Jewish baseball players' autographs. So you can imagine in 2003, I knew I was going to see this guy often. And sure enough, he and I and his son established a tremendous relationship over the years. When I got injured, he helped me nutritionally get through and overcome without the drugs and without the medication. And obviously,
wow,
those are two.
That's a whole other hour.
Yeah. So those are just two small little impact stories that are obviously pretty prevalent and impactful in my life. And then from there, just the letters from Jewish kids and saying, I'm inspired, and if you can, and I'm 5'3" or 5'7" or whatever.
Right.
So it's just it's run the gamut. So spirituality, Judaism, whatever, it's just becoming a part of a community, and that's really what I'm here to speak on. Is pulling the community together, pulling the community closer, and knowing that little things can impact somebody's life in ways that we have no idea at the time. But having that support staff and that community is really all. It's important.
Is speed still? Is it more relevant today in baseball? I mean, I'm a Tiger fan, but where does speed fit into the game, and what do you miss most about missing off the field?
When I came up, it was the height of the steroid era, and stealing bases and doing the little things, the bunting, the moving the guys over. Of course, it was wanted and needed, but today, my type of player and value with speed would be way more valuable. What do I miss?
Because it's a cleaner game.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
yeah.
What do I miss most?
Yeah,
competing. I mean, I miss being on that field and doing whatever I can to win. I mean, I miss stealing bases. I miss diving for balls. I miss saving runs in the outfield, throwing guys out, battling in the batter's box. I mean, thinking about the game. That's what I
cat and mouse with the pitcher getting a lead, right?
That's what I played it for when I was young.
Unreal.
That's what I played for. I mean, it was never about the money. It was about trying to win the game and become a part of a championship team. So that'll always stay with me. I'll always miss that. But that's why I try to give it back now. I have all this information and education and real life experiences. So I do a lot of clinics for the local high school teams. I put a batting cage in my house. I teach hitting, teach base running,
wow.
You name it. So it keeps me involved, and I know there will come a point in time where I will get back into the game at a higher level. And there's I almost see it's like have to. I have to because I love it and I have passion for it, and I want to be able to have an impact on
That's
those,
great.
those guys.
Well, it's a small world, Adam Greenberg. Thank you for being here as part of the Jewish Federation of Southern Arizona here at the Tucson Jewish Community Center. You know, it's a small country, and very small things divide us. We're all one human race. So thank you, brother, for being here, man, being part of the show.
Absolutely.
Peace.